Hola guys, it's Kat. So today we're gonna be talking about something that freaks me the F out. Spontaneous human combustion. Now, the reason this freaks me out is because I have an extremely in-depth fear of burning alive. So the idea that a person can just freaks me out. And the more research I did on this, the more I got freaked out and slash am freaked out because what the fuck? If you don't know what spontaneous human combustion is, it is when a person's body burns from the inside out due to some sort of chemical reaction that doesn't have to do with like an external ignition source. And a lot of these cases, what they have in common is there's no external factor of this person burning. Nothing around them seems to get burned either. It's just their body, and then like there'll probably be, well, no, there is scorch marks around the body, you know, like a little bit of heat damage around it. And a lot of times limbs are left behind, usually their legs and feet. And when I say this body's burnt, I mean like the bodies are burned to ash. They're literally incinerated. And if you like know how hot something has to be to incinerate a body, it makes zero sense as to why a fire that hot like wouldn't burn anything around it. And I have a couple of example cases. Now, a lot of times with these episodes, I am kind of just like, I gather information and I kind of am doing like a summed up version of things. I can always do something more in depth, but especially when I'm using like examples and stuff, and when I say things, a lot of times it's gonna be the like simplified, summed up version of that thing. A lot of these things are way more complicated than what I'm saying, just so y'all know. There was Michael Ferty, I think I'm saying that right. He was an Irish dude, and he was found lying on his back near the fireplace, and there was a fire going. His head was like laying by the fireplace, but it was determined that that was not the reason that his body was on fire. He was literally incinerated, but they found no evidence that that open fire, like flame on the fireplace, had anything to do with him, and they just never figured that out. That was in 2010. George Mott, and this is in 1986. He did have lung problems and he required an air mask to breathe. And his son was the one who found him and had noticed that all the windows had brown and the interior of the house or apartment, I can't remember, was smoked. George's body consisted of a few splinters of bone and a fragment of skull, and the rest was ash. George was a known drinker and he used an oxygen tank. However, the oxygen tank was not in use when he passed away, and there was a pack of matches on his nightstand, but none of them had been lit. I feel like I'm gonna say this name wrong, and I'm really sorry if I mispronounce this at all. Young Sikkim. I hope I said it right. This is 1957. He was paralyzed from the waist down, so he was wheelchair bound. He was at home when the flames had started coming from his stomach and rapidly engulfed him in seconds. His neighbor came to his aid and later stated that he was covered in blue flames. By the time police got there 15 minutes later, he and his wheelchair were ash. 15, okay, I can't, that might, I wrote down 15, but I think it was actually 50 minutes. I'm not sure. Granted, I don't know why it would take police 50 minutes to get somewhere, but wait, did I just expect police to do their job and quickly? My bad. When the police arrived, all that was left of this man in his wheelchair was ash, and his feet were what remained. And after he became ash, the fire mysteriously stopped and did not spread around, which had police stumped because there was clothes and books close enough that they should have caught fire as well. There's Danny Vanzident. I totally am butchering that, my bad. I'm not sure what year this happened. I just wrote down 2013 because I couldn't find the specific year that he passed away. He was an alcoholic and a smoker. However, both of those things were determined to not be cause of death. He was found in his kitchen by his brother. His body was reduced to ash with nothing around it burnt. No signs of struggle or a break-in or signs of cause of death. Investigator Rob Longhart, I feel like that's not correct. The way it's spelled, I'm like, that's not correct. Stated that you could pour gasoline on somebody and they wouldn't be as badly incinerated. And I don't tell you something, you know, I don't tell you something, I gotta tell you something, man. And then there's this one, and in all of the research and videos and stuff that I was collecting on this, she is one of the ones that is most perplexing of these spontaneous combustion cases. Mary Hardy Reeser, 1951. Her body was found on a burnt out chair with only charred coil springs remaining. The only parts of her left was her left foot, which still had a slipper on it, and her backbone, and a mysteriously shrunken skull. Her apartment had showed signs of heat damage. The walls were covered in a greasy soot. Her mirror had cracked, and plastic switches along with 2 candles had melted. Experts say that a temperature of 2,500 degrees is what is required for such an extreme cremation. A cigarette could never produce that kind of temperature if it had ignited the chair or her clothing. And they checked for gasoline residue, like anything that could have been an accelerant. Nothing. There was nothing. There was also, for her, there was a theory that maybe there was a lightning storm and she got struck by lightning or something. But there was no storms reported in that area that night that she had passed. They wrote her off as the Wick effect, and that was because she had taken some sleeping pills. So basically what they wrote it off was that, oh, she was passed out, her cigarette caught in her clothes, and she died that way. But the local police, because that's what the FBI wrote it off as, the local police never bought that story. Because they were there, it didn't make sense. Like, a cigarette could not burn her body like that. Not to that degree at all. Not saying it doesn't happen, obviously that does happen to people, it's very unfortunate, but the way she was incinerated just could not have came from a cigarette. So it takes a lot of wood to cremate a body, like roughly 2 carts full, however big a cart full would be, roughly how much it would take to cremate a body. So it's very perplexing that these people are being found incinerated the way that they are, with nothing burnt around them, and then maybe some of their limbs are left, and it's usually feet if there's limbs left. Like, that's very concerning. And there's only been like 200 cases recorded throughout history of spontaneous human combustion, so it's rare, but still, what the heck? Like, yeah, sure, it's rare, but it's still a complete mystery and a big concern to why this is happening. There was a couple things also that I noted was in common with all these victims is that they were older. A lot of times they were alcoholic, or there was alcohol present, or they were smokers and there was like cigarettes or something present too. However, so far the stuff that, like the cases I looked up, I didn't get to look up every single one of them, obviously, but the majority of them, the alcohol and the smoking was ruled out right away as not the cause of death. So the fact that these bodies are burning like this, and then they're just going out like that, it's suggesting that this is a different type of fire. Maybe it's maybe a supernatural, you know, like What the heck? And like if it was supernatural though, like what would be, like what would cause that? And I actually have a couple of theories wrote down here. There's the wick effect, and those are for the people who don't believe that somebody's just randomly burning from the inside out. When the clothing of the victim soaks up melted human fat and acts like the wick of a candle. The wick effect is a phenomenon that is found to occur under certain conditions and has been thoroughly observed. I don't know, to me the wick effect doesn't really make a lot of sense for certain ones. Some of these cases I'm like, okay. I could see how maybe that's like what happened, or maybe the wick effect contributes to what's ever happening. But I personally don't think that it is an external source that's causing this. Now there's this theory I came across that I think was just the dudes from this channel's theory. I don't know if it's like an actual, like, because I tried looking it up and I couldn't find it. But if y'all watch Good Mythical Morning, they had done an episode on spontaneous human combustion, and one of the guys talked about fire seed of anger theory. So there is this theory in metaphysics that thoughts have matter. So possibly thoughts have physical effects. So that's like a thing. So again, I'm just skimming over stuff. It's way more complicated than what I'm saying. So that's like part of the thought. So then I guess his theory is that if these, if thoughts have a physical aspect to them, the seed of anger is these people who are like suppressing all this anger, this rage, they're pushing it down and they're not expressing it anyway, and that maybe it just builds and builds and builds until finally they literally explode from anger. I'm not gonna lie, I like that theory. Like, well, not like that theory, but you know what I'm saying. I think that is a very, very interesting theory. And that one freaks me out because, again, I told you that this whole spontaneous combustion shit freaks me out because I don't like the whole burning alive thing. But then the thought that you can literally just suppress your emotions and anger so much to the point that you just fucking explode, that freaks me out too, because I'll be honest, I'm actually a pretty angry person. Like, I do have a tendency to bottle my fucking emotions. And then, of course, gotta throw this in there, man. Another theory is aliens. So the alien theory is that this spontaneous human combustion is maybe a side effect of aliens doing experiments on humans. There's actually quite a few people who think this, that aliens have something to do with it, and I mean that kind of makes sense that like people would think that it's aliens, especially with Mary and the way that like her apartment was found, her skull shrank, like what? I don't know, this is gonna sound stupid, but like a ray gun, like not a ray gun, but you know what I'm saying, like, and it just like zaps them, and then I mean, I find all of these very interesting, especially Fire Seed of Anger. You guys can thank Good Mythical Morning for that one.
Yo, I totally forgot to add this theory in here. Now, this is kind of just, it is a joke theory, but I was talking to my friend about this episode I was going to be doing, all the research and stuff, and they made a joke, demon possession gone wrong, and I shouldn't laugh, I'm sorry, but like, could you imagine, like, what if that's what it was? The demon doesn't know how to, like, land correctly, and that's the result, like, there's Bob hasn't learned how to land correctly. Like, I'm sorry, I know I should, like, that's fucked up because these people did die, but come on. I have the worst image in my head of this demon trying to like navigate correctly to do this possession, and it's just like failing. I'm going to hell.
I don't know, like, looking through all this, I genuinely don't have, like, a specific theory myself. Personally, I don't think it's the wick effect. That's just me. I just feel like the way that the fire burns, and then there's been these accounts of the few times people have seen it happen, and the flames are like coming from their stomach and like engulfing them. I don't know, that to me just seems like it's inside out. I did have a couple theories that it would have to be like a multiple factor thing, I think, because otherwise, say it's just like, oh, that's heat of anger theory, right? If it was just that, I feel like a lot more people would explode. And if it was just alcoholism that caused it, again, a lot more people would be just randomly exploding. Like, you know, so I just feel like it has to be like a combination of things, and B, it might straight up be some sort of weird supernatural phenomena. Who knows why it happens then? Who knows what's causing it? Who knows what's doing it then? I don't know. I personally just feel like there's something weird with it, and the more that I dived into it, the more I was like, oh no, I should not have looked into this. I would have been so much happier not knowing some of the stuff that I know now, because there's some suggestions. My one solace with this whole like thought was that, okay, well, at least it's instantaneous. No, there's some suggestion that it's not as instantaneous. Like, instant in the fact of, if it's happening to you, you're effed. Most likely no one's going to be able to help you, but not so instantaneous that you don't feel it. There's been some suggestions that the people can feel it when it's happening, and that is horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. But speaking of not surviving it, there has been a couple cases of people like surviving spontaneous human combustion. However, they usually end up passing away. So there is one person who has, I guess, been the official survivor of spontaneous human combustion. His name is Frank Baker. He is a war veteran, and one day him and his buddy in 1985, him and his buddy were sitting on the couch getting ready to go fishing when all of a sudden Frank started heating up and got very confused when flames had appeared on his body, and his friend Pete freaked out with him. You know, Frank had no idea what was happening, and like obviously like that'd be very, very scary. They panicked, and somehow they were able to get the flames out, rushed him to the hospital, and the doctor had told him, you were burning from the inside out. And so like the doctor had confirmed that it was spontaneous human combustion, and Frank survived. I believe he got put on an episode of Unexplained Files. I don't know if this is like an old episode, because I don't know if the Unexplained Files is still airing. Yeah, so I don't know if it's like new episodes coming out, because it says October 2nd, but it didn't say a date when that article was published. I've never got to see that show, but I had people recommend it to me before. But it's a show where they talk about real unexplained cases like this, and like what the F. Absolutely fucking terrifying. Just imagine, you're just sitting on the couch, getting ready to go fishing, and your friend just flames. Like, ha, ha, ha. Mama, ooh. That freaks me out so much. This whole subject freaks me out so much, but I thought it was like a really interesting topic. It is a really interesting topic, but I'm so freaked out. I found a lot of interesting things on this. I guess tell me what you guys think of spontaneous human combustion in the comment section down below. And if you have any like theories specifically, I would love to hear them. Bye. Mwah.